politics and global events certainly made themselves known at Hollywood's big event last night. At the Oscars last night, there were red pins worn inside and protests out front to show support for Palestinians in the midst of their humanitarian crisis. But most notably, or at least most virally, the winner of the International Feature Award for Zone of Interest, Jonathan Glazer, made waves by offering support for Palestine in his acceptance remarks. In his speech, Glazer told the audience, quote, "Our film shows where dehumanization leads at its worst. It shaped all of our past and present. Right now, we stand here as men who refute their Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation which has led to conflict for so many innocent people, whether the victims of the October 7th in Israel or the ongoing attack in Gaza. All the victims of this dehumanization." Now, writer and director Jonathan Glazer's movie focuses on the family life of Rudolf Höss, commandant of the Auschwitz concentration camp in Nazi-occupied Poland during World War II. So this went super viral for a couple of reasons. One, it was pretty shocking and a less kind of caveated statement than the kinds of statements you often see in these kinds of speeches. And it was coming from Jewish directors of a movie that was about the Holocaust and sort of the banality of evil. And so if anything, it seemed like there was a real kind of simpatico, real grist to make a comparison. But in fact, there was a lot of backlash from people who sort of abbreviated, truncated the statement to make it sound like they were saying, I'm revoking my Jewishness, as opposed to saying that they're criticizing their Jewishness being co-opted into political objectives that they don't agree with.
Sure. Yes, I saw a lot of frustration with that statement, or likening what is going on in Gaza right now to what happened in the Holocaust, the deliberate and intentional extermination of 6 million Jewish people. What is going on in Gaza is, of course, very, very awful and very sad, and I hope it comes to an end as soon as humanly possible. I saw many people objecting to the and people dying in the course of a war against a terrorist group, different than the deliberate and planned extermination of the Jews in Europe. I saw a lot of people upset about, using it for that, using his pedestal to make that statement. But of course, that is his right to do that, and people have. Making the Oscars political is obviously nothing new and happens in every other acceptance speech, it seems to me. So was not surprised to see that happen.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, what's interesting to me is, as a person who's not Jewish, I'm not interested in speaking for what any Jewish person thinks or does not think about this. But it is interesting that they are people who are specifically saying that our film talks about shows where dehumanization leads. Like, that's the analogy. To say that it has to be a one-to-one comparison, obviously, in scale alone, that would be a ridiculous thing to say. But the point they're trying to make, I think, pretty clearly is the film shows where dehumanization leads. It shaped all of our past and present. And talking about both the victims of October 7th and the ongoing victims of the siege as people who are bearing the burden and the consequences of dehumanizing our fellow man. And I think notably, the fact that in order to make a case against that statement, it did seem like there was an effort to, frankly, lie about what it said, suggests to me that it really was a powerful one, that the only way to really argue with it for a lot of people did seem to be to misrepresent it. Variety has since offered a correction, but it initially characterized, truncated the statement so that it made it sound like they were revoking their Jewishness, period. And there were a lot of cultural commentators who weighed in with that abbreviated quote, instead of just contending with what it said on its face, regardless of whether or not you think that comparison is appropriate. Well, the Ukrainian director who won for the Academy Award for the Best Documentary Feature, 20 Days in Mariupol, also made a statement of a political nature saying, quote, "I will be the first director on this stage who will say, I wish I had never made this film. I wish to be able to exchange this to Russia never attacking Ukraine, never occupying our cities. I wish to give all the recognition to Russia not killing tens of thousands of my fellow Ukrainians. I wish for them to release all the hostages, all the soldiers who are protecting their lands, all the civilians who are now in their jails." Along with the dazzling red carpet looks, many attendees, including Billie Eilish, Mark Ruffalo, and Ava DuVernay, wore red pins representing Artists for Ceasefire. A group of 400 celebrities joined a campaign in late October, published a letter urging the U.S. Congress and President Joe Biden to call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and Israel. A press statement, Artist for Ceasefire, said, quote, "The pin symbolizes collective support for an immediate and permanent ceasefire, the release of all the hostages, and for the urgent delivery of humanitarian aid to civilians in Gaza."
There was also a bit of commotion between the show host Jimmy Kimmel and former President Donald Trump, a frequent target of Kimmel and vice versa. Earlier, Trump, in a post on Truth Social, said, "Has there ever been a worse host than Jimmy Kimmel at the Oscars? His opening was that of a less-than-average person trying too hard to be something which he is not and never can be. Get rid of Kimmel and perhaps replace him with another washed-up but cheap ABC talent, George Slopanopoulos." Interesting. Trump continued, "Maybe that way their audience and TV ratings will come back from the depths, make America great again." Then right before the Best Picture winner was going to be announced, Kimmel pulled out his phone, read Trump's remarks aloud to the audience and said, quote, "I'm really proud of something and I was wondering if I could share it with you. I just got a review. Thank you, President Trump. Thank you for watching. I'm surprised you're still up. Isn't it past your jail time?" Which I think is just a reminder of how much this is a Batman Joker type relationship. The Trump and both the liberal media commentariat and Hollywood celebrities, they feed off each other. They both love it. They both get something out of it. Trump, is more obsessed with Rosie O'Donnell than any number of public policies proposals. I think he would freely admit to that, frankly, if asked. And then the celebrity people love to treat him like, Hitler come again, and everyone wins by being righteously indignated, and everybody's respective viewers and supporters get to hate on each other, and it's this silly spectacle that doesn't get us any closer to solving our problems as a society.
Yeah, look, Trump's
and yes,
tweet.
I just made up the word indignated.
Look, if Trump can do it, you can do it, Robby. I believe in you. I support you. Look, the Trump tweet came out and was kind of circulating on Twitter while the Oscars was ongoing. And so the fact that Kimmel was able to kind of pick up on that and read it into the Oscars as they were happening did feel like a kind of fresh on the fly moment, the sort of which you hope happens at an Oscars. And I will say overall, I thought some formatting changes, guest choices, production choices made it a really enjoyable, one of the more delightful, enjoyable, engaging, personal Oscars I've watched in a really long time. And this felt like a good sort of production choice outside of the politics of it, but I think you're completely right about the Batman and Robin aspect of this. When you saw Trump, Batman and Joker. Sorry,
Robert, you're introducing some other themes. This is a family show, so we won't get into that.
Robby, I just meant that there's a two-party duopoly. But yeah, like I do agree that this is like that aspect of it is completely predictable. The reason that Trump's tweet went viral on Twitter, even though he's not even on Twitter, is because he knows how to entertain. He knows how to be funny. He always tweets negatively about the Oscars. It's become an American tradition. And Kimmel is there to bat it right back at him.
And that is why Donald Trump is going to be president.
100%. I would place my bets assuming that's going to be the outcome.
I should say I was happy to see Oppenheimer get all the support it deserves. It is a tremendous film. Christopher Nolan is an amazing director. Oppenheimer is not my favorite film by him. A lot of other films I liked better, but I was glad to see him get his due. And of course, Cillian Murphy, who is fantastic. So I was happy. There were some other good films nominated too, to be clear, but
I enjoyed the movie. I didn't have a problem with that per se. For me, the biggest upset was how many awards Poor Things received. I didn't dislike the movie, but I just was so unimpressed by it. And there were so many strong movies in various categories. I was really hoping that Best Supporting Actress would go to Killers of the Flower Moon, or the actress from the lead from Zone of Interest, who's also the lead in Anatomy of a Fall, which was amazing. I watched Anatomy of the Fall over the weekend. It was really extraordinary. I just didn't get Poor Things outside of like hair and makeup.
I didn't see Poor Things, but my mother, who does not typically like weird movies, gave it a favorable review via text to me. So
I like weird movies. It wasn't the weirdness. I felt it was kind of soulless, didn't exactly know what it wanted to say. I was very glad to see American Fiction get Best Adapted Screenplay. Cord Jefferson won that. I think it was very richly deserved. So on the whole, good Oscars. I liked it.
Yeah. All right, that does it for us for today. Tomorrow on Rising, we'll be back with another fantastic edition of our show. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss any content. For those of you who like to listen while you're on the go, we're now available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Bye-bye.
Take care.